Hey guys, how are you? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a review of a war film from Germany. This is spoken in the German language with English subs, released in the year 1981, directed by Wolfgang Petersen, and this film is called Das Boot. So Das Boot is set during World War II. Adolf Hitler has sent out a lot of German U-boats in order to combat the destroyers from Britain. Now, it was said that 44,000 U-boats were sent out and only 10,000 returned, so there were 30,000 people killed, which shows you just how hopeless the situation was and how brave these U-boats had to have been in order to follow orders as blindly as they were. So the movie does depict a certain U-boat and all the people on board as they go through the terrifying reality that they may not be returning. It documents all the boredom that they have, and it does show you the close-knit community that transpires as a result of all of this hardship. So it is a movie that goes for 200 minutes, and it just shows you the courage of humanity and the terror that they had to face, and whether or not they got home in one piece is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on Das Boot. This is considered a classic film of the war genre, so I wasn't quite sure what to expect. For some reason, I just overlooked this film for so long. Now, there are movies out there where I'm sure you guys could understand you just don't really take an interest in. And so Wolfgang Petersen, who directed Air Force One and In the Line of Fire, he's a very good director, and just the fact that it was 1981 is the reason why I overlooked it. Now, I'm not too big into classic films, films that seem a little bit outdated. Now, as I said, I do overlook a lot of them, and Das Boot was one of them. So after getting this very, very cheaply, I wanted to give it a go, and I was wondering what I was going to get myself in for, because this was a German native language film. Now, Wolfgang Petersen has since gone on to Hollywood, and he's made a lot of English-speaking films. So this is a very different movie from his other films. His other films are more action film, whereas this is more a war film, a psychological film about the impact that war can have on someone. And I thought Das Boot was absolutely brilliant. This really does showcase how good Wolfgang Petersen is. I think this is his best film. It is a movie that doesn't have action. It doesn't want to glamorize the war. It doesn't want to have big explosions. What it does is just show you the sheer terror that these people in the U-boat were facing. Now, the atmosphere is brilliant. It's a very claustrophobic atmosphere. You can feel the sweat and the fear that each and every one of these sailors were feeling. And the beauty of it is that it breaks down borders. It doesn't tell you that because they're Nazis, they're bad guys. You really gain a connection to these guys, and you have to keep reminding yourself that these are Nazis, because they feel like people that you could easily be a friend with. And that is the reality of war. Just because someone might be fighting on the other side doesn't necessarily mean that they're evil people, and they're people that you can connect to. And that just symbolises how tragic war can be. Now, Adolf Hitler was making all of the, he was making all of the decisions. These young sailors, these young soldiers had no option but to do what Hitler said. And you feel that these guys have a resentment towards Hitler, and that in these movies you feel that Nazis are just cold-hearted maniacs who are just like killing Jewish people, who like killing British, American and Australians. But that's not the case, and this film really does symbolise that, and I thought it was a very respectful film. And you will feel kind of strange in that you want these Nazis to get out of this situation, because, as I said, they're painted as very real people. You get a connection to them, and I was along the whole ride, and I was just terrified for these people because of how well it has been made. I thought the soundtrack was great, the action sequences were great, they weren't overdone, and they're just very hard-hitting when they happen, and you just sense all the fear that is seeping through the screen, and that is why the film works as well as it does. Now, it's a 200-minute movie, and it does want to capture the boredom that these soldiers were having, and that, these sailors were having, in that they were waiting for orders, and everything was very repetitive, very, very tedious the way that it was moving, and you never really feel bored watching it. And that's strange, because although you feel that these sailors are very bored, you always sense that something is around the corner, and although something might not happen, it's always that impending sort of threat that keeps you glued to the screen. And then as half an hour goes by, nothing has happened, but you don't feel that nothing because of the impending threat. Where are the British? Are they about to fire torpedoes? So that constant not knowing what's going on is what keeps the interest. Now, my only problem with that is that if you go and watch this film again, it will become boring because you know what's going to happen. But if you have no idea what's going to happen in this film, you haven't watched it, it's your first viewing, I would say you're not going to get bored, because, as I said, even if it's a boring scene, even if it does drag out, quite considerably, you're always on the edge of your seat. So that is what I really liked, and it showcases why Wolfgang Petersen was picked up by Hollywood and why he has had the success that he has. So the movie is absolutely fantastic, one of the best war films ever made in my opinion. It does showcase, somebody who's willing to get down to the psychology of war. It's not saying just because you're a Nazi you're a bad guy, and that's what I loved about it. Paying respect to the British and also, you know, the Nazis for once. You know, it's not painting it in black and white, it's painting it in very grey areas, and it just shows you the tragedy of war, because these people had wives, they had families that they wanted to go back to, but because they were forced into a situation, it is very much like the British and, you know, the Allies. They had families as well, and it just shows you that the Germans were no different. So it is a war movie that doesn't take sides. What it does show you is the courage of humanity, what humanity is capable of under extreme conditions, and for that I really appreciated it. Now the ending I thought was okay. I would have liked it to go down a slightly different direction, but having said that, it doesn't ruin the experience. I thought this is a flawless war film, and as a result of that, I'm going to give it 5 stars. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.